My name is Kathy Schrader, and the night my parents proudly handed my sister the keys to a brand new downtown apartment while handing me the keys to a crumbling old house on the edge of town, they honestly believed they were being fair. They thought they had balanced everything perfectly. They thought they were rewarding one daughter and challenging the other. What they didn't realize, what they never even bothered to check, was that the real value in that decision wasn't the shiny apartment or the cracked walls of that house. It was the land underneath it, and that land was legally mine. If you've ever been the responsible one, the dependable one, the daughter who gets handed the hard path because you can handle it, then you already understand the kind of silence I swallowed that night. I was 28 years old when my dad called and said, "Come over tonight. We need to talk about your future." In my family, that sentence never meant discussion. It meant a decision had already been made. When I walked into their living room, it felt staged. My mom had that tight smile she uses when she wants credit for generosity. My younger sister Lauren was sitting on the couch pretending not to look excited. My dad cleared his throat like he was about to announce a company merger. "We've decided to help both of you get a real start," he said. My mom immediately turned toward Lauren. "We bought you an apartment." Bought, not co-signed, not helped. Bought. Downtown, new building, balcony, gym, security, parking garage. Lauren's face lit up in a way I had seen my entire life. She didn't even look surprised. She looked confirmed. Then my dad turned to me. "And Kathy, we're giving you a house." For one brief second, my chest filled with something hopeful. A house is substantial. A house builds equity. Maybe this was finally equal. Then my mom slid a folder across the table. I opened it and felt that hope quietly collapse. The photos showed peeling paint, cracked siding, sagging porch steps, boarded windows, weeds swallowing half the yard. It didn't look charming. It looked abandoned. "It has potential," my mom said quickly. "And you're so good with projects." There it was. Lauren needed comfort. I needed character building. I wanted to ask why fair always meant she got ready-made and I got renovation. I wanted to ask why being capable constantly disqualified me from ease. But I could feel the expectation in the room, the pressure to respond correctly. So I smiled and said, "Thank you." A week later, I stood alone in front of that house with a set of keys that felt heavier than they should have. In person, it looked worse. The front steps dipped in the middle. The door stuck when I pushed it open. The air inside smelled like damp wood and neglect. That first night, it rained. Around midnight, I heard it. Drip, drip, drip. I found the leak in the living room ceiling and dragged a bucket underneath it. I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, listening to water hit plastic, and I had a very clear thought. They didn't give me this because they believed in my dreams. They gave it to me because they believed I could tolerate inconvenience. There's a difference. I could have sold it immediately, taken whatever small amount it was worth, and moved into something easier. But something inside me refused to let this house become another example of me accepting less just to keep peace. So I made a quiet decision. If this was mine, I would make it valuable. I worked my regular job during the day. At night, I watched home renovation tutorials. On weekends, I lived at hardware stores. I learned how to patch drywall, replace light fixtures, seal roof leaks, refinish cabinets, sand floors. I cleared the yard piece by piece. I painted until my arms burned. There were nights I fell asleep on the couch fully dressed because I was too exhausted to move. There were mornings my hands hurt before I even got out of bed, but month by month the house began to change. The walls brightened, the floors stopped groaning, the yard looked intentional instead of forgotten. And somewhere during that process, something inside me shifted too. I stopped seeing it as the house they dumped on me. I started seeing it as the house I was building. Now, here's the part that changed everything. When my parents handed me that folder, I didn't just sign and move on. I read it. Every page, every clause, every signature. I've always been careful. About 6 months into renovations, I started hearing rumors at work. Developers were looking at properties in that area. There were talks about zoning changes, commercial expansion creeping closer. Most people dismissed it as gossip. I didn't. Instead of speculating, I made an appointment with a real estate attorney. I brought all the paperwork. He reviewed the document slowly, flipping through pages, checking parcel maps, tracing boundary lines with his finger. Then he paused and looked up at me. "Do you understand what you own?" he asked. "An old fixer-upper?" I replied. He gave a small smile. "No, you own the land outright. And according to this parcel map, the property includes an adjacent strip that's extremely valuable under the proposed zoning changes." My stomach flipped. He explained that years ago, when my parents purchased the property, it came bundled with extra land behind it. At the time, it was just unused yard space. But under the new commercial expansion plan, that strip would provide access that developers desperately needed. "Can they take it back?" I asked quietly. He shook his head. "Legally? No. The deed transferred fully into your name. Clean. They have no claim." I walked out of that office feeling something I had never felt in my family dynamic before. Security, not loud power, not revenge, just quiet certainty. I didn't tell my parents. I didn't tell Lauren. I kept renovating. Months passed. The house transformed completely. Fresh exterior paint, repaired porch, updated kitchen, modern fixtures, landscaped yard. It wasn't flashy, but it was beautiful and solid. It was mine. That's when my mom called. "We want to see what you've done," she said. Her tone was lighter than usual, curious, maybe impressed. They came over that Sunday, Lauren too. My dad stepped inside and stopped mid-step. "This doesn't look like the same place," he admitted. My mom slowly scanned the room, her eyes calculating more than admiring. Lauren turned in a slow circle, taking it all in. We sat down at the dining table I had refinished myself. My mom cleared her throat. "Lauren's apartment is nice," she began carefully, "but it's smaller than we expected." I stayed quiet. "And this house," she continued, "is clearly the better long-term asset." There it was. "We think it makes sense to rebalance things," my dad added. "Rebalance. That word only shows up after I've done the work." "Lauren could move here," my mom said. "You could take the apartment. It would be simpler." I looked at Lauren. She wasn't embarrassed. She looked hopeful, like this was just another upgrade waiting to happen. "You want me to give her this house," I said calmly. "Don't phrase it like that," my mom snapped. "We gave it to you." "You transferred it to me," I corrected. "Same thing," she replied sharply. "It wasn't." "No," I said. Just one word. My dad frowned. "Kathy, don't be difficult." "I'm not being difficult," I said evenly. "I'm setting a boundary." My mom's voice hardened. "After everything we've done for you?" I felt a strange calm settle over me. "You gave me a house with a leaking roof," I said quietly. "I built everything else." She stood up abruptly. "Lauren will be here next weekend with movers." And just like that, they left, as if the decision had already been finalized. The following Saturday, a moving truck pulled up in front of my house. Lauren stepped out wearing sunglasses and confidence. My mom followed behind her. I walked outside, slowly. "What's happening?" I asked. "Mom said it's handled," Lauren replied casually. "Okay," I said. "Let's handle it." We walked inside. I let them stand in the living room. Let them feel comfortable. Let them imagine it. Then I went to the kitchen drawer and took out my folder. I placed it gently on the counter. "This," I said, "is the deed, the parcel map, and a letter from my attorney." My dad picked up the documents. His face changed as he read. My mom leaned over his shoulder, her expression tightening. Lauren's confidence faded. "You can't be serious," my mom said. "I am," I replied calmly. "The property is legally mine, including the adjacent land developers are interested in." Silence filled the room. My dad looked up slowly. "They can't take it?" "No," I answered. "And no one is moving in without my consent." My mom tried one last attempt. "You would really do this to your sister?" I met her gaze steadily. "You tried to do it to me first." There was no yelling, no dramatic explosion, just reality. The movers awkwardly began loading everything back into the truck. Lauren avoided eye contact. My parents left without another word. Weeks later, a developer contacted me directly. They made a serious offer for the adjacent strip of land. I didn't rush. I negotiated. I asked questions. I stayed patient. Eventually, I sold only the strip of land for more than double what my parents had originally paid for the entire property years ago. I paid off my debts, finished renovating every detail of the house exactly how I wanted, invested the remaining money wisely. When my parents found out, my mom called immediately. "You should have discussed that with us," she said, her voice tight. "I tried discussing things with you," I replied calmly. "You just didn't expect me to say no." My dad spoke more quietly. "We were trying to help both of you." "Help doesn't come with conditions," I said gently. Lauren never asked to move in again. Our relationship changed, not because I attacked them,